Hello everyone, it's Hank. Sorry about the background noise. I had to switch locations up a little bit today. But after reading some of the comments that was sent by one of my subscribers, one of my favorite subscribers actually, one of the earliest ones, kind of mentioned to me that I would want to sound the alarm a bit more, or this and that, as far as economic collapse goes, because it's relative certainty about it. Why I'm just pretty much nonplussed. I'm not very excited about it, frankly, and I don't think I need to get other people too wound up or agitated about it at this point. For two reasons. One is normalcy bias. You can tell people all day long, and they're not going to believe you until it happens, because they all have a psychological normalcy bias. And that's going to keep them married to a system until a crisis point, which I do speak about in other videos. And the second thing is the Ostrich Complex. A lot of people will just stick their head in the sand, because if they hear things they don't want to hear, they're not going to listen to you. So there's no point in wasting your breath trying to convince people about something that's going to happen or not happen, about future events that's relatively uncertain. So I've written down on a pad, I can prove it today, which I usually do carry with me, I just don't show it that often, about how you can create something out of nothing. There's basic human needs, and the two that I'm going to discuss today is one, need for sanitation, and two, clean water. And let's say, for example, you haven't prepared at all in whatever community that you're in. You can take a shovel and you can go out. If you don't know what a trench latrine is, then you need to learn that. I'm not going to explain to you what it is. You can easily look that up yourself. I don't try to waste time reinventing the wheel. What I'm talking about is more of human psychology. I'm talking about how to make the most out of a situation when you come into it with nothing. And essentially, you choose a good place for a trench latrine, and you go out with your shovel and you start digging. Now, what's going to happen after a little bit of time is people are going to come out and they're going to ask you, what in the hell are you doing? Because everybody's going to be curious. Everybody's going to be talking to their neighbors, and they're going to be out just trying to figure out what to do, what's going on. And you're the guy out there that seems to be doing something productive. Either that or you're a total nutter trying to dig your way to China. And so you just start digging. You start digging a latrine. But somebody's going to come out and ask you, what are you doing? Well, I'm digging a trench latrine. And they're going to do one of three things probably. They're either going to get a shovel and help you. They're going to tell you what you're doing is wrong and why you're doing it's wrong. Or they're going to try and find some other way to help you. Because I think, even if they don't have the back to dig or a shovel or something, they will recognize the value in sanitation. So they'll come up to you and ask you what you're doing. You say, I'm digging a trench latrine because it's important not to befoul our water sources. Everybody's going to think, oh, damn, that's pretty smart. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't befoul our water sources. So, well, what can I do? Either that, or they're going to tell you what you're doing is wrong. Well, what can I do? Well, you can get a shovel and you can help me dig, and we'll get this thing done a little bit faster. Or they're going to tell you what you're doing is wrong, and you can say, okay, what am I doing here wrong? You listen, because you could be screwing up. You could be putting yourself in a position to befoul your own water source or whatever. And so you need to listen sort of objectively. If they have a civil engineering background or something, you could be doing something the wrong way. Now, if you've researched it before, it's not likely that you're going to screw it up, but there's always the possibility you're going to screw it up. Or they could tell you that you're doing it wrong because they have some kind of technology that'll help you get it done faster. They may have a ditch witch or a digger or something. They may choose a different location. So you can get it done faster with the help of their technology. Or the third alternative is if they're just being a nuisance, you can say, you can just ignore them and keep digging and say if you want to do it differently, get a shovel and go dig yourself. You're welcome to do whatever you want, just don't, you're not going to shit in my trench here, bud. So that's pretty easy. That's pretty easy stuff. And, okay, well, somebody going to shoot you now. There's no reason to shoot the guy digging the latrine. He won't waste the bullets on you. It's just not even worth it. And everybody poops, criminal or not. Everybody poops. So it doesn't really matter what the political persuasion is of wherever you are living or working. Everybody's got basically the same needs. Which leads me on to my second point. And this is something that's really not covered in a lot of areas, so I am going to cover it a little bit. What happens when you run out of toilet paper? Because there's one thing you just can't stock up enough on, is toilet paper. Personally, I think what you should do, and this is not going to sound great, it's actually going to be pretty disgusting, but we are talking about sanitation here. If you live in a coastal region like I do, you can find shells. What I would recommend is that you get a shell and you keep it your own personal shell, and what you can do is you can actually use that to extract the remnants of your waste somewhat comfortably, I suppose, and then use a squirt bottle, sort of like a personal bidet. And then once your latrine or your laundry services get a little bit more sophisticated, you could have a big boiling pot and some water. Probably people will bring you bleach and other resources, which you don't need to use a lot of in a big boiling pot. Then you can have rags and essentially do like you would do for any baby. I mean, disposable diapers are a relatively new thing, and you're essentially applying the same technique, but to reusable toilet paper, essentially. Not a clean job, not a fun job, but a job that definitely needs to get done. All right, well, let's say there's no need for a trench latrine. The second thing, your sanitation systems are working fine still. The second thing you could do is build your own water purification plant. Because everybody's going to want water. First, there'll be a run on bottled water, this and that, because people don't know that you can make your own water relatively easy. Get yourself a 5-gallon bucket and go to an open water source. Now, this all depends on where you live. If you don't have open water sources in your area, you need to know where, your creek or your stream, and you need to know seasonally how that's going to dry up or not. But here in Florida, where I live, it's not too much of an issue. We've got a lot of freshwater aquifers that are around. There's a pond everywhere. Hell, the water table's not even 3 or 4 feet below the ground, so if you start to dig, you're going to find water there anyway. Or you can even do this with salt water. This is distilling water. The process is relatively simple. You just find yourself a big pot. It can't be Teflon or anything. You could use cast iron, or you could just use a simple steel, and put plastic sheeting above it and firewood beneath it and boil. In the early stages, it could be easy to make fire. You got flint and steel, you got flint knappers, and if you're in a community, there's obviously going to be plenty of resources that you can use early on. Car batteries, lenses. Here in Florida, I expect on a clear day, you can just use a lens to start a fire, as long as your firewood is dry enough. And if you need to, you can go and get palm fronds or whatever's local in your area that's going to give you fire. And you can even treat your firewood, by burning other things. Now, in Florida, it would get wet. It gets wet. So once you get a fire going, you just keep that source going along. But, just set your plastic sheeting up and your distillation plant and run your one bucket from the other. Now, nobody's going to come over and shoot you or anything, because you can basically are producing fresh water, clean water, drinking water all day long. And it's likely that more people are going to continue along and follow your example and start to set up more water purification plants. Now, it doesn't require a great deal of energy or exercise or anything, so even people that have injuries can be set up to either run the laundries at the latrines or at the water purification plants. So, and what I call water purification plants, very simple. It's very old method. Old methods work just fine. So you'll get more and more people that are making more and more clean water, and it will free you up for stage 2, whatever your next task is. So what I'm saying is, in summary, people are not going to listen to you to prepare for every contingency ahead of time, and there's no need to. You could be dead day one. And, let somebody else deal with the problem at that point. You can never prepare for every contingency, but it's important to kind of know what human psychology is and what basic needs are. And always, if you're willing to put forth the effort first, people are going to respect that. You're not pointing a gun at them and telling them to do something. You're not, it's just real simple. It requires no force whatsoever, but it does require effort. And the force of your own will. And through the force of your own will, trying to do good things, people will follow your example when they see how beneficial it is to cooperate. Now, if you're in a community where you don't think that people are going to cooperate with you, I don't know why you haven't moved yet. Because if you can't, you can't. I don't prepare my contingency plans around what's going to work for you. I prepare my contingency plans around what's going to work for me. So that's step 1. And that's all I've got to say for today. Catch you guys later.